The 2016 election has heard a lot of talk about campaign finance reform and the effect of money in politics. So, does money actually influence elections? Well, to start, political expenditures have changed dramatically over the past few elections. In 2000, outside spending on political campaigns was roughly $50 million. In 2012, it was more than $1 billion. So what changed? Well, in January of 2010, the US Supreme Court ruled in a case known as Citizens United, which basically allowed unlimited political spending by individuals and corporations. The way this works is that although the law sets a limit on contributions directly to a candidate, there's no limit on indirect candidate contributions. This is where the commonly used term super PAC, or Political Action Committee, comes in. In election context, a super PAC is an organization which takes in unlimited political donations, usually in support of a specific candidate. Although they're not allowed to coordinate with a candidate directly, this rule is clearly and openly ineffective. The money is spent on things like events, staff salaries, even health insurance, not unlike a business. But generally, about 75% of the funds go towards direct advertising, like mail, radio, television, and internet ads. So what does it mean that candidates can raise unlimited amounts of money? It means they can win elections. And this is distinctly noticeable in regional elections, even more so than with presidential elections. During the 2012 races in the US House of Representatives, nearly every single winner had raised more money than their opponent. However, the parallel between election performance and campaign spending isn't necessarily causative. Some economists point out that successful candidates are not just good statesmen, they're good politicians. Those who already have more supporters will naturally raise more money, and voters can be unsure of spending money on a weak candidate. One analysis by MIT economist Stephen D. Levitt found that raising campaign spending only had a marginal effect on final vote count. And perhaps tellingly, that same year in 2012, each presidential campaign spent roughly $1 billion each. But when the votes came in, Obama won with only 51% of the popular vote against Romney's 47%. On the other hand, although popular candidates may raise more money from their supporters, the majority of money in politics comes from a very small pool of donors. In fact, according to the Center for Responsive Politics, less than 1/4% of the US population accounted for 2/3 of the total amount of federal contributions in 2014. Moreover, only about 32,000 people, or just 1% of the population, contributed $1 billion, or nearly 30% of the 2014 federal contributions. In the 2016 election, with the exception of Bernie Sanders, all other candidates have actively sought the support of millionaires and billionaires to fund their campaigns. Candidate Donald Trump is himself a billionaire. It's clear that there is a concentrated group of people who are able to dictate which candidates will be better funded, especially within Congress. But as was seen in the 2012 election, although Mitt Romney's campaign outspent Obama's by about $175 million, he still ended up losing. The real question about money in politics is what the 1% of the 1% expect in return for their enormous contributions. Luckily, it doesn't cost a lot of money to have your voice heard politically or otherwise. This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. They'll help you build a website even if you've never done it before. When you sign up for a year, they'll give you a domain name for free. And if you type in TestTube at the checkout, you'll get an extra 10% off. Squarespace. You should. Super PACs have a huge role in political campaign donations. For a deeper dive into what they are and how they actually work, check out our video.
Legally, it was argued that spending is speech, even if that speaker is a corporation. This led to the creation of super PACs. Essentially, super PACs are allowed to give unlimited funds from people, corporations, and unions. The only rule is that super PACs must operate independently of candidates.
TestTube News is super close to reaching 1 million subscribers. If you want to help us reach that goal, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.